Hello, folks, and welcome. My name is PJ, and with me today is Starfleet Boy, and we're going to be watching the first two episodes of Star Trek Discovery. How do I
I'm
sound? Do
so
I sound
excited
good?
about this. Yeah, you sound pretty good to me.
Uh,
Uh, you were choppy a little on the backstage, but so far so good. Look, I'm
all right.
drinking a beer for tonight's thing, and I encourage people to bring snacks.
Yes. So the way this is going to work is the first episode. We're just going to start from the very, very beginning, and on my app and on Starfleet Boy's version, it's CBS All Access. Yes,
Right.
there is a slight difference in the American and Canadian version. As there's a different logo at the beginning, but I don't think they do that in Discovery. I'm not sure. But thing about Discovery is that you get the recap, so we'll always start right after the recap for the next episode. And if we do any more episodes beyond this, this might be fun. This might be a tragedy. My phone might die, and Starfleet Boy's internet might cut out. And anything could happen. It's live.
I've done watch-alongs before on Starfleet Boy After Dark, and they worked really well. This is the first time. So my CBS app didn't work on on the computer. I had to load it on the phone. So yeah, it's weird that it was like that.
Yes, I have my two pairs of headphones on, and I'm watching it on my phone here. So we're gonna do a countdown, okay? And press play.
Yeah.
In five, four, three, two, one, go.
All right, it's going. 01,
Just
03,
just to give
zero
you a point
04,
of reference.
05.
There you go. I won't show it too long.
Nukrish. Rushtik.
This guy sounds like a
Ich
Klingon.
Mutar.
I wonder if he looks like one.
Edge Mortush. Oh, I'll go off the video too. Dishnof. I
By
love this.
reuniting the 24 warring houses of our own empire. He speaks very slowly, you see. We have forgotten the unforgettable.
Duk me ma doof.
Their presidential
Um,
speeches must go on for like 2 hours.
so when I first saw to Kovma, I actually thought he was awesome. And then I saw the rest of the Klingons and their hands, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah,
I don't."
I thought they were going to be like an offshoot of like the Klingons, and we would see regular Klingons in the mix somewhere. But no, they
Well,
just completely
also,
rebooted them.
yeah, but he's not bad. Other than the like double nostrils. I think Worf did have double nostrils, but they were just like closer together or whatever. But he
Yeah,
looks Klingon. I love this part. Come in peace, PJ. Would you trust
I
Burnham?
don't buy the believability of this entire scene. Like the whole like, okay, they're lost in the desert, and Michael knows
I
exactly
actually,
when the storm is coming and stuff, and it's like, come on. And then the ship can't find them unless they walk around in the sand and make the symbol. Visually, it all works. Like it looked beautifully shot. It's on location too, with some visual enhancements, I guess. But
I bought it, but I did have to make up my own techno babble to explain it. But I totally bought it. But like, there's a lot of things in Star Trek Discovery, which now that I've gotten used to, they don't really bother with things like technical babble and like explaining why a certain sort of factors is happening. And I think that's okay for like, um, I think most audiences don't care. Like most new audiences don't care or think deeply enough about that stuff at first
Michael's
when
whole
they're watching a
explanation
show.
of it, Michael's explaining everything to Giorgio about why they're there and what's going on. Giorgio knows this, so like she's being redundant. She's telling Giorgio what Giorgio already knows, but it's for our sake, for the sake of the audience, so that we know what's going
Yeah, but
on.
like,
And they could
okay,
have
but
accomplished it in a different way. I think, like less
I
talk.
agree. But also, this is very TOS. Now that I've been watching TOS, like, there's often times where they're actually talking about the mission as they're doing the mission, and I feel like that's a very Star Trek TOS-y trope, and I didn't mind it. I thought it was cool. See, there's like certain things that I forgive because they remind me of classic, like this. I love that. I was eating this up too, like the sound, the transport, the the communicator sound and all that stuff. It was at this point I was really into it actually.
See, Burnham doesn't know everything because she was wrong about how fast the storm was moving. Anybody complains
By
that
the
she
way,
knows everything.
it looks so pretty even on my little tiny phone here. In fact, it looks probably more hyper real on the phone because of the pixel density on the phone and like how 4K looks a little sharper on a phone, I think. But yeah, it's a
Yeah,
beautiful show.
this is a good. This is a combination of practical and digital effects. That particular alien
Hmm.
was pretty good too.
And it was a cool looking alien. I thought
Yeah,
it didn't really remind me of anything else. This was completely, I mean, so I'll give you this. You're absolutely right that like it was done just for this one payoff that's
yeah.
coming up. Like the whole scene revolves around this gigantic, delta in the sand. And it's, I think that like when I look back on it, there's sometimes when a show is being kind of like cheeky. And I think this was definitely something that where the show I felt was intentionally being cheeky, like saying, look, like Star Trek's back. It's a
Yeah,
gigantic delta in the sand. Be impressed.
we
And
get
I
some
was.
valuable. We
I
get
got
some
the
valuable information in that little conversation there, where she's been with Giorgio for 7 years. She might be captain someday, and like at this point in the show, like the very beginning, Burnham is essentially considered captain material,
right.
but she messes that up.
Big time. And I don't
Remember,
understand what to this day
remember the original description of Burnham was, by Brian Fuller, was a an executive officer with caveats.
I don't
So
remember that, but
Burnham was always meant to be trouble. You know what I mean? Like that was the whole point.
mm. It's interesting because essentially Burnham and Mariner on Lower Decks are kind of similar characters, but Mariner comes off as that character, like the officer with
I
the
don't think they're
caveats.
similar at all. I disagree with that.
Oh, we'll have to talk a little bit more
Well,
about it. But what I was going to say is that, like, for me, I
personality
think,
wise, they're different, very different.
no, I just mean in
You're
the
talking about
fact
from an
that,
ambitious
like,
point of view. They're both very
yeah,
ambitious.
I just think that, like, both of them have some kind of, like, beef on their shoulders and like they're both like trying to prove something all the time and they're both like trying to be the best, and yet of course like Mariner's thing is she doesn't want to get promoted and Burnham's thing is the opposite. She definitely wants to be like a captain, so I would say they're not similar in that sense, but just
Yeah,
in the sense that they're like both set back in their careers, you know what I mean, like, and they're promising, and so I guess that's what I was trying to get at.
yeah,
What
I
did you think
understand.
of the first time when you saw these credits?
It's they're they're modern day credits. They're a lot of credits for our dramas are usually like these abstract things that try to be very artistic. I mean, Hannibal had a great one. There's a lot of different shows that have these kind of weird. Remember back in the day, everything was just like they show clips of the show with the actors and put like their names over them. So cheesy.
Right.
Or like in the case of some dramas, it was just like a musical number with like a montage of things, or like in Star Trek, just the ship going by or whatever, beauty shots. I think they should go back to the beauty shot opening. Focus on the ship and like how it looks in different light and in different situations, just to
Do you
show it
think we'll
off.
get new opening? Do you think we'll get like new opening credits for season 4?
Uh, New opening credits for season 4 Discovery.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just
Look, wait,
the
wait.
the
Pay
the, the
attention.
same as they've been
Look,
doing, just
Hunter,
a
it's
little
May
different.
11th, 2256. You missed it. You missed my birthday.
May 11th, 2250. How old will you be then? Two,
I'll be
200.
like something like that. I like this whole thing about the tech hygiene and stuff. This is where I was into it like in the moment, but I already started having thoughts of like, how does this fit with TOS? Like, what do they mean this is like a prequel to TOS? So I was already starting to like have some questions about where this show was, like in terms of like, is this a reimagined series, which I totally now, whether they say it or not, whether that's officially the case or not, it is obviously to me a reimagined series, and I accept it as that. But I was like really kind of disappointed, I would say, that it was reimagined, because I really wanted it to be a little closer to the spirit of TOS on a visual from a visual perspective. Okay, so now that I've
In
said
terms of the
that,
way the uniforms look and the ship looks inside, I can buy that this is a different type of ship in the TOS universe. It's just everything else they do with the universe, like reimagine pretty much every alien they get their hands on, except the Vulcans, really. And it's like, it's and I know the common excuses. We had to make the Klingons more beastly, I guess, or put full face masks on them because HD, you can't have too many, you can't have these just head pieces and nose pieces because you'll see the creases when the HD. I'm like, you know what? That's a poor excuse because films, when they do makeup in films, it's designed for to be blown up to a really large size. So they actually take that into account, and it's pretty much the same thing with HD. Like when you're dealing with something that you know is going to be seen in higher detail, you pay more attention to those seams and creases. There's some episodes of remastered episodes of TNG. I mean, Worf's makeup, you can see where his face begins and the makeup starts. You know what I mean? In some shots. Same
yeah,
thing if you remaster DS9, you would see more of the flaws in the makeup there because it wasn't, it wasn't, they knew it wasn't designed to be blown up on a big screen. But now if you remaster it and scan it in 4K, it certainly can be. As I've seen, and I think you've seen the DS9 documentary in the theater on the big screen and seeing that like in such fucking vivid detail, you almost don't even care about the little flaws, right? But they can certainly bring back like old makeup, simpler makeup techniques if they can do things like the Vulcans and stuff. I mean, they didn't mess with them too much. So why my question I guess is why go to the extremes with the Klingons and say the Tellarites, which are especially bad in season one with the
well, I mean,
deep
again,
modulated
like
voices.
I think I don't know why CBS is so stubborn about kind of addressing this. As far as I know, there's never been any official kind of thing. Even like I haven't. So I'm gonna get the Blu-rays for these eventually, and I'll watch all the documentary material and see if I can glean like what what from that information what the answer is to that. But I will just say that from what I've seen from like the makeup artists and things like that. Oh, can you give the timestamp, PJ? Sorry, I didn't mean it. Hi, Blue.
What 11:15, 11:16.
If I touch my screen, it might pause it. That's why I'm a little
Yeah,
worried.
I have to lightly touch it, and I can't touch
Yeah.
it. They're in the middle or it might pause.
So
But
we're at
we're at the scene
11:20.
where Saru is looking through the telescope in the
Yeah,
office
if
with
you
Burnham and
Blue, if you
Georgia.
jump to, and this is good for the audience at home, anyone. Blue, if you jump to 11, then we'll give you fine. If you jump to 11:30, we'll give you fine tuning. So all right.
You do understand that being afraid of everything means you learn nothing, Burnham says. There's no opportunity to discover, to explore, and here I thought we were doing a deep space communication relay audit, Saru says. There you go.
Let's see here. Blue, I don't know
Am
where
I in
you're
sync
at,
with
but
you,
we're already
Starfleet
at.
Boy? Pretty good? Am I?
Yeah, what are
Oh,
you at?
uh, 12, 12.
Oh yeah, I'm at 12:09. I don't know. I'm a little behind. 12:10. So just 3 seconds. Oh, okay. We're now at 12:14, 12:15, 12:18, 12:19, 12:20, 12:21. All right, Blue. Hopefully that's good. It would be irresponsible to leave room
Burnham
minutes.
is flying out into space now in her spacesuit. The visual effects in this particular episode
Um,
are outstanding.
Outstanding. Going back to what I was saying, oh, good. I'm glad you're synced up, Blue. Going back to what I was saying, PJ, is that I think that like from everything I can tell is that um, the Discovery folks just wanted to redesign the Klingons. That's it. Like that, the Neville Page and his crew just wanted to have their own go at it, and
Ironically
uh,
enough, Glenn Hedrick is a Klingon in season 2 at the in the
That's
season
right.
finale, and he looks more like a traditional Klingon than anything they've shown in Discovery.
He
So it's
might have
like a
had
little.
something
It's
to
I
do
think
that.
that's a little nod to say that like we're trying, guys. We're gonna get there. Don't worry.
It is a shame that the because the design again, what you said earlier is true. Like everything about the show is just like gorgeous. It's the most at this time. It was the most gorgeous Star Trek show to date for sure. Like this was like a phenomenal. I mean, look at that. It looks like she's actually
Aside from Game of
on.
Thrones being in production at the time, Discovery was the most expensive looking thing out there in terms of
Yeah,
TV.
look at the stars in the background. All the like. It's just like to me, this is like gorgeous. Now again, I am watching it on a tiny little screen here, but
And they don't go overboard with the lens flare in this episode like they do in probably later episodes, and especially in season two. I don't. They have like a
I think.
fetish for the lens flares in season two.
I mean, there's lots of lens flares in this episode, but I'm never bothered by them terribly. I like in my personal photography, when I do nighttime photography, I take advantage of lens flares all the time. Like I really enjoy them personally.
The incorporation of lens flare into like visual effects and like say this fake dirt they put on the lens to make it look like there's an actual camera out there in space or something. Um, that can add to the realism when done properly. And sometimes it's like there's all these arbitrary lights moving in the background that you can't see that are off screen that are reflecting on somebody's face, and it's like why is this shot that looks pretty good flooded with all this weird colors and lights floating around, you don't know what they're from, there's no point of reference. But I give Star Trek Picard does visually, it uses it perfectly. It uses it in a realistic way.
Yeah. This whole sequence was great because one thing, again, even though I was like, I had all these questions about what is the show, the one thing that was really familiar was all this procedural stuff. Uh, at its core, like everything that they were just doing on the ship, like, people coordinated as a team, like giving each other telemetry about what's going on and a mission and like, gathering information. This is all very, very familiar as Star Trek. And I did like this whole thing of like, what is this artifact that they found and
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
The design, I like the design of this suit as well. It's and when she goes to the artifact, this was a great opportunity to show a part of Klingon architecture or culture, which I guess they did with these like weird offshoots of Klingons. Uh, but they really took advantage of like the detail they could make with the models or the digital models, and even when they replicated the props, they did this like new 3D printing technique that allowed them
Mhm.
to create enormous like tiny detail. So say if you watch this originally on like 720p, later you might watch it on like 4K down the line somewhere, and you would see those extra little details in the costumes and even the deltas in their little costumes. Like if there's any Starfleet material that was left behind, someone would always know it was Starfleet because it's like, oh, it's embroidered in deltas. It is sublime.
um, yeah, this
It is
is really pretty.
impossible to discern. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, go ahead. What were you saying?
No, I was just gonna say what Burnham was saying. She's landing on the ship now. Uh oh. Burnham is triggering
Uh,
some sort of response in the ship. That's a lot of great shot composition.
hmm
All very well done.
It's funny. Yeah, again, this was such a good, like, promising kind of beginning. Oops, I should mute my.
This is the clip that they showed on talk shows when Sonequa Martin Green would go around, like on Colbert and stuff. When she first promoted the show, they would show this clip,
Oh, right on.
and then the audience would be like, "Ooh, what happened there? It's she killed a Klingon."
It's not her fault. He basically like lunges
Oops.
into to her.
They should have started playing. Oops, I did it.
See, it was a mistake. It wasn't on purpose. I love that. Like they say things like mission clock and stuff. I was really kind of interested in. It was a surprise that you don't actually see the hero ship until episode 3.
Yeah,
I
like
thought she
these
would come
first two
sooner.
episodes are a prologue to the actual show, like a backstory. I don't agree with the fact that when this was first released, CBS put it on CBS All Access, but at the same time, um, they only released the first episode on the actual channel CBS. They should have released 2 episodes. They tried to do a thing where like, oh, you want to see the rest? You got to subscribe to CBS All Access. It's like, come on, dude. You should have just shown like a 2 hour premiere on actual TV to get people interested in the show itself. Like show the whole prologue, you know. But they wanted to hook people by just showing this first half. Like they didn't want to show Battle at the Binary Stars, which premiered the same night.
I think that's okay. Like the way I remember it being, well, in the USA at least, it was super heavily promoted, and I think there was a lot of. I feel like there was a lot of attention. I wish it had gotten a TV premiere. Hey, son of a red shirts here. In case if you want timestamps, let us know, and we'll give you timestamps. We're watching, um, the Vulcan Hello
We're at
episode 1.
20:05 in the episode.
Yeah, let us know if you're gonna
It's on the
stick up.
coffin of the guard that was killed. The coffin is rising up into the air. They have torches and all these things that look like Klingons are looking upon it. Why do we look like this?
Oh shit!
Somebody
Starfleet
watch
Boy has
Ridley
to.
Scott's Prometheus. That's the thing. They tried to do. This is like a Ridley Scott were to reimagine Klingons.
Starfleet Boy has to plug his power in. Oh, he's got it right here. Perfect. Da-na-na-na-na. I love this. Da-na-na-na-na.
Yeah, the music's good.
And Scream. Duke Speck Mock. Mock Stock. Oh. Red
Klingon
Jock.
Mach Talk Josh.
Ooh,
This is reminiscent of the original series, like with the design and stuff.
this ship, you mean?
No, where she was in the chamber, being
Oh
healed.
yeah.
Remember when everybody was like, "See, it's Kelvin, because this was in the Kelvin movies." I'm like, "Yeah, it's Kelvin. It's all Kelvin. Yeah, sure." Because this is the way the learning things looked in Star Trek
Oh yeah,
2009, right?
I didn't care about that because I always thought like it look retro of the Kelvin, so I imagined the Kelvin would have like Vulcan pods would be the same in both. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
Just
like, why would the Vulcan educational system change for children? Because there was a temporal incursion. Yes, some things would change, yes, but not like everything.
right.
So the fact that they kind of took a hint from those movies, it's not saying we're in the Kelvin timeline. It's saying we're picking up on that. We're just
Yeah,
because
we're
of
like
course
well,
they've established it's all like in a multiverse. You know what I mean?
not only that, it even season 3 kind of makes it seem like that temporal incursion created a universe very close to ours. So
Yeah.
like it created like a very similar, like just like another mirror universe. The only thing is the Narada's arrival forced them to take a different path in terms of like technology, and it got accelerated in the Kelvin timeline. That's why the Enterprise looks so different and everything looks so different. It's because the introduction. Remember, they like they had probably found parts from the Narada because remember the Kelvin crashes into the Narada, and so like there was debris from the Narada and stuff like that. So Starfleet, crews that went to go see what happened in this accident where the Kelvin disappeared, probably found these ship parts, and from that they were able to like extrapolate like a more advanced version of technology.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, I have
But
to
this is
mute my
about
I have to mute my microphone when I'm not talking because my cat's playing with his squeaky toy.
that's funny. I got why Burnham was so serious about the threat, right? Like because the Klingons at this point were still considered hostile and and an enemy, and like so to and they don't know that it's the Klingons that are behind this whole the beacon and everything, right? But what I don't get is why she did mutiny. like that's the part that I don't understand still. Maybe I'll understand now when I'm rewatching it.
Say that why she didn't what?
So I understood everything, like her concern here, like she's concerned that it's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Klingons, and like every. I just didn't understand why that forced her to do the mutiny of like firing. I didn't understand her logic
yeah. She's they make
or
her
her
lose her
rationale.
objectivity like
Right.
twice, like where she mutinies and then she kills Takuvma, which was like they shouldn't have done. It would have been interesting to see a narrative where Takuvma didn't die and was a prisoner for the rest of the season on the ship, and how that would
That
work
or
out.
yeah, yeah. I just didn't think exactly what you just said. Like I think that like I mean, it happened, and that's part of the story of Discovery. So I accept it. Like it's fine with me now. But like at the time, I remember being very like having a lot of like questions and like kind of a little bit of like being upset because I really liked Burnham up until she freaks out. Like I was like, oh, I like this character. She grew up on Vulcan. Like she's like this like like she had like some of my dream come true traits for a character.
Yeah, she. There are a couple of things that happen coming up here that I don't understand. For one thing, I can't understand why they couldn't see the beacon. They had to look through a telescope when they don't have like they can't revert to old school optical visualization. You know what I mean? That you don't have to do digital just because it's in the future. You can have like old school optical backups. You know what I mean?
Right.
And they do acknowledge that I think in season 2 of like optical cameras, but they can only zoom in so far or something.
Right. No, it's true. Well, optics are actually really powerful today. I mean, look at what the Hubble telescope can gather. So they should be even better in the future. By the way, the beer I'm drinking is Yingling. It's delicious. I don't know if you've ever had that beer. Tell them we have engaged
I
the
have
Klingons.
not.
Um, I really enjoyed Captain Giorgio, and I was really upset about her character's death. To to this day, you still see people online that are like dreaming about Captain Giorgio stories.
There's a novel I have that I did not read all the way through. It involves Conscious of the King and Giorgio and Lorca.
Oh, so
Desperate
Kodos.
measures or something, or
Oh, neat.
drastic
Kodos, the
measures. Drastic
drastic
measures.
measures.
I
Oh, it's
never
very
read it.
cool.
I never read it all the way through.
That's funny. Son of a red shirt in the audience is saying, due to the incursion, one of the largest and yet most untalked about changes to the Vulcan education system is that they now pronounce the letter Z as Z. Silly Vulcans. That's funny. You dishonor us. Uh, I called them. I forget. I'll have to go back and watch my live stream. Not it wasn't live at the time, but my reaction, my discussion for this episode. But I think I called them like the Shakespeare, the Elizabethan Klingons,
Oh
because
yeah.
their outfits look a lot like the Elizabethan kind of armor slash outfits that they had.
Yeah, very impractical too, but for like fighting and stuff. But
Hmm.
however, this is of course Shazad Latif
Yes,
as
as Vo.
Vogue, which nobody knew who played Vogue. Remember? And
Right, he
they
was
said
going
it
as
wasn't. They said it was Javed Iqbal,
Iqbal. Yeah, exactly. It was very funny.
and it turned out that it was Shazad Latif,
Yeah,
and a lot of people call that.
Kulush. Sean does a good impression, but he's great as a Klingon.
I understand the artistic intent and the way in the the artistry of the makeup and stuff, but it's the more you pack on there, the more you limit the actor. That's just a fact. It's one of the reasons why in the earlier days of Trek they kept it pretty limited and everybody looked pretty much humanoid. They didn't want to go too far, and the actual aliens that had a lot of makeup on, they tended not to give too many lines to,
Hmm.
just for the sake of
There
like
is a
keeping it as
there
real
is a
as
lot of
possible, I guess.
articulation. Yeah, but look, there's a lot of articulation. Look, they're like practically like they're speaking in hushed tones, and you can see like subtle movements. Laurel is really
The
good too.
I know, but like it, it just looks like a stiff, solid mask on a person's face at some point. Where
I
unless you have
guess,
some kind
yeah,
of
I guess
CG augmentation that allows the muscles of the mask to move a little bit more realistically, or the eyebrows maybe, or something like that. But it just looks too stiff. That's the only real
mm,
problem I find.
yeah, I guess it does.
And
But I'm impressed at
it's
how
really all in the performer because Doug Jones has very heavy makeup on, and he really emotes underneath that just to get some kind of expression through that mask, right? Like he has a certain consciousness of how he looks under the mask that uh, his expressions are much more expressive, for lack of a better word, than we notice because of the mask.
I would say that's a testament to perhaps that like maybe they intentionally did a different treatment on the makeup for Doug Jones just because they knew he was going to be on screen so much more than the Klingon. So they like maybe for whatever reason they were just like, well, we have to do like 100 Klingons, so we can't make let's try to make them as emotive as possible, but let's focus on the main character. I don't know. But I will say is what you're saying. I do see it, but it's way more expressive than I expect it to be, considering how heavy that Klingon makeup is. I mean, like it's like there's a humanoid shape, but it doesn't look anything human. Just like Doug Jones, you know what I mean? Like Doug Jones has a humanoid shape, but you could see it seems closer to his head,
In
like those
retrospect,
Klingon.
I don't like what the Kelpians are and what essentially Saru is, even though I like him as a character. Like this whole thing about the whole purpose of us are to be cattle and to sense death and all this stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's. I know we have characters like Guinan who have like mystical qualities and stuff, but I don't know about that in Saru and like with the Kelpians and stuff, and how like in a later episode when he's relieved of his fear, he's basically given like some sort of Varahai. Is that how you
Mm-hmm.
say it?
The
But yeah,
Vaharai.
Yeah, and he goes insane and like beats Burnham, has a fight with Burnham and stuff. It's like, and then he looks on that experience as a positive one later in later episodes and stuff. I don't, I, and then even in season 3, I don't want to get into a whole thing about Saru in the seasons, but it's like they're always on the cusp of doing something with him that I like, and then they just kind of take it away from him. If that, I don't know how else to explain it.
Mm-hmm. I hated this Admiral guy, and I also hated the holograms.
You get a sense that when you first meet him, yeah, he's gonna die at some point.
Yeah, I just thought he was like a bad Admiral. He was like very dismissive of Burnham.
I'll be right back. Make it show.
Sure, sure. Um, one of the things PJ was talking about was like the makeup and the emotiveness of the makeup. I look back at this now and I do see how it was a little bit stiff, like when he's talking about the Klingons. But for the most part, I'm very impressed by the makeup. Again, for me though, the whole thing is like the thing is like everything's superb, but just I had like real problems figuring out where this fits into the timeline of Star Trek. It's just visually, it made me feel like I was watching a post TNG show. Um, and it definitely was a pre TOS show by the things that are happening. So that's the big thing that I had a problem with Discovery. I had to reconcile that for myself because I knew it wasn't going to change. There's a myriad of great reasons why they decided to update it, but um, when you watch a show like The Mandalorian, which we use a lot as an example, which you know has to kind of be truthful to an era of Star Wars, it's just a lot better.
I think
It's a
this
lot
part is very
closer.
stupid. Sorry, I'm back.
It's okay. Hey, so like there is one thing I was talking about.
Why can't they black out the screen? That bothers me every time I watch this episode. Why can't they black out the screen? They say filters at maximum. Well, there's no way to cover the screen. Like what? What the hell? I don't know. I don't know. That's for. I think that's there for dramatic purposes, and it doesn't really make sense. But whatever.
It should, yeah, you're right. Like they could black them out completely. Like
Yeah,
you could just have like where it's no light coming through at all. It's true. 100%.
it's Oh yeah, no. There's a bit of controversy about holographic interfaces and whatnot.
Son of a red shirt, it's not an option because because they're windows now on the ships. They're not screens anymore. They're actual windows that look out into space. So that was the other thing is like in the original series, we know that there are portholes on the Enterprise, but there's not a window on the bridge that looks out into outer space. That was something that they started doing, I think, with the Kelvin films. I think the ship, the Kelvin, and the Enterprise had these like view screens that were also actual windows, and so everyone seems to love it. I kind of love it.
What's your timestamp?
I'm at, let's see, we're at 35, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33. Am I pretty close?
I'm most certain you did not call me for emotional solace. That's what. No fire has been exchanged, but they didn't turn on that beacon until Starfleet was on its way to our position. I think they're summoning more of their kind. An odd
Mm.
proposition, given that their empire has been in disarray for generations. But you are describing something out of the ordinary, restraint in the face of conflict. When a civilization acts in opposition to its instincts, it may be under the influence of something or someone new. Great unifiers are few and far between, but they do come. Often such leaders will need a profound cause for their followers to rally around. See, this is, I don't know, this whole Vulcan hello stuff. It's logical, though. It makes sense if the Klingons were just aggressors all the time, and the Vulcans are like, well, I guess the only thing they respond to is intimidation and violence, so we have to be like the bigger bully here. So every time we see these guys, we're just gonna go straight for the jugular, and so they know not to mess with Vulcans, I guess. That seems logical in a sense, but I can understand how people have an issue with that.
See that background's very nice touch of TOS there. That little like pattern on the
Yeah,
that separates the wall. That's like something that I thought that was a nice nod to the TOS. That's the only thing I caught so far. I remember seeing that and being like really delighted. Let's see here. It says in the comments, "Son of a red shirt" is saying, let's see. Sorry, I can't watch this at the same time as you guys, and I just remembered that their screen is now a window, but it does seem kind of stupid that they can't put it to full blackout. Yeah, we were saying exactly the same thing. So they couldn't afford curtains or shutters. I'm not trying to be too nitpicky, don't get me wrong, but those little things do kind of annoy me. Yeah, we're at kind of the same place. A Vulcan ship crossed into Klingon space. She's telling Giorgio the lowdown right now. Son of a red shirt, yeah, like just even like a metal thing that would that would like pop up on screen. Hey, you know what? If you zoomed into the timestamp, people could sync up with a visual timestamp. That's a cool thing.
My timestamp is 38:14.
Let me see, 38:14. I'm at 38:18, 19, 20. I might be a little bit ahead. It would be logical for you to take into account my success rate. That's funny.
Yeah, it's like, okay, Burnham.
But you could see what I love. Okay, so whether I disagree with Burnham or not, Soneqa's tone totally changes here, and I feel the anxiety and the tension actually, like, and it's all her acting. So, great. She's a great lead for the show. I
Yeah,
really love her.
you can really get the sense that she's on the edge and she's
She's gonna do something rash. You could tell, like, there's a whole different tone. Like her eyes even look a little bloodshot,
mm,
or like weary. Like there's something, there's just a lot in her performance
yeah,
here.
she smoked some weed and she's really fucked up now.
Are we gonna
We
take an
cut.
intermission real quick, like between the two episodes, PJ?
Yeah, we can.
Because I do have to go to the bathroom and stuff.
That's okay.
Oh, and then we could tweet out that we're about to start part two,
Part start too. Yeah.
part start two. Hello, everyone at home. I just broke Son of a Red Shirt's computer by going off of no video.
There's 2 minutes and 40 seconds left of this episode. Oh, she gives her the half-assed Vulcan pinch that only lasts 2 minutes. I like how Saru's like really skeptical over it. He's like, I don't know if I buy this shit.
And that's it. She just downs her captain. That's so fucked up. Boom. And she's like, I thought she was going to be a bad guy at this point. I was like, what the fuck's going on? I was really like worried.
The question is, would Takuma have started the war anyway if they hadn't acted, or was his whole point to provoke a war, or what if
His whole point,
What if
that's what I got out of it.
What if Starfleet did come in guns blazing and said "fuck off"? They'd probably be like, "Okay, guys, we'll back off."
They
Probably
actually
would
would
have
have, actually,
respected
that
him.
the thing that Sarek, I say Sarek because of Trek on the Tube. The thing that Sarek says is actually really smart. Like if you do show a threatening, like a threatening adversary that you're more powerful, they're gonna like back off for a while. So it at least buys you time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
And with Klingons, they'll definitely respect you. Like they'll be like, "Oh, these guys are more like Klingons than we thought they were." You know what I mean? Like
Uh-oh.
it's a paradox, but it makes sense in terms of Klingons. Like it does.
Yeah.
They would have responded to it. Bum bum. I like this music. I love this red when the bridge is like this. But again, it just evokes motion picture era. Even and right down to the fact that they use the red alert thing. By the way, there's a wild theory, a wild kind of thing that can explain why Discovery looks like this.
Okay, closing credits now. Yeah. Um,
Ta-da!
but it's just a little disappointing that they didn't do a little bit more with the Klingon ships. They kind of made them really, honestly, blasé looking. They put a lot of detail in it, but far from when you see the wide shots of all of them warp, and it's like, I don't. Your initial thoughts are just based on the franchise up until that point. Is like, I don't see anything that looks all that familiar here. But when you get a closer look, you can see more of the design. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. And I do appreciate that they do wide shots and stuff like that. I don't mind that. It's just the way the ships look. They kind of look blasé in the wide shots. It's a nitpick.
All right. Real quick before we start the next episode, I just want to give this like real quick little theory out here.
Yeah.
I think Fathery. Well, my friend Humbert mentioned this way before, but I think Fathery and I were talking about it a little bit, and then I heard it again somewhere. So I'm kind of creating something from these three different ideas. But in the TOS novel, in the motion picture novel, uh, and I have to find the exact text of it, but more or less it suggests that like the original series TV series and the animated series are recreations of Kirk and crew's mission, and that's how they explain the retconning of the loyalty of Trek in the motion picture. So they were trying to say that like, oh, like everything you saw on TOS and the animated series at that time, they were trying to say the reason why this looks so different from that, why the Enterprise looks so different, just not even just because she was refit, but just like in scale and everything, because like the scale's off and like suddenly like just it's not the right. If you get really technical, it's very off. And they said that that's the reason why is because you're watching the Star Trek show that were like the recreations of the missions of these guys, and everything actually looked like what you see in the motion picture, more or less. And if you do that, it kind of lines up because Discovery does fit really well with that aesthetic of the motion picture. Like right down to the red alert and everything. Like everything's just like very fits very well with the motion picture era. So I've always liked that. But again, that could be a cool thing. If that's true, it would have been cool if that came from the producers and like, Alex Kurtzman. And if he had said a statement like that, it would have been a really neat. It doesn't have to be on screen, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't
Yeah.
like Michael Burnham doesn't have to say on screen that like, but it would just be very satisfying, I think, to a lot of people who are trying to like reconcile these things. Maybe I'm on the spectrum or something and I have to have
No,
I have an
no.
OCD or something, like and I have to have an explanation. But but I always thought that would be cool.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I
All
don't.
right.
I don't think. I don't think. I don't think you're being anal or anything. But
um
okay.
I'm
What do you,
going
do you have to?
I,
You have to. You have to take a break.
yeah, so one of us will stay here and entertain the audience. Do you mind if
I
I
was going to
go?
entertain an audience with a video clip and say we'll be right back.
Oh, that's even better. Okay, cool. All right.
All right, so guys, people are probably going to really go away. I'm going to play a clip from a movie that I don't have the rights to, but the guy who made it doesn't care. And we'll be right back.
Yeah, it certainly beats working at Canadian Child Photographers.
My life's work. I know, sir. I feel a bit sad, Faustus.
I think that's quite understandable, Mr. Bonya-Combs.
I feel a bit sad that he will be the first to know of it.
Who, sir?
Eddie Peddle. It's a bit sad, Faustus. Eddie Peddle and the scum of the provincial cabinet will be the first to know of the grid, total education. That is a bit sad.
What is the grid?
The grid is all.
What is grid truth?
Grid truth is the all-encompassing truth.
Where does grid truth live and have its being?
From the moment of its birth, grid truth was wrapped in the swaddling clothes of total education. And in total education, it has its being.
Faustus, how long have you worked with me on total education and the grid?
3 years.
3 years. For 3 years, you researched, you've typed,
I've worked evenings and weekends.
you've labored.
I've sweated.
You've labored all these years because of my vision.
Yes, sir. We've been working to develop a new curriculum program.
No, Faustus. No. You've labored because of my vision. My vision, Faustus. And now I think the time's come for me to tell you of my vision. The time has come for me to reward you for all your years of dedication and labor. A number of years ago, I was walking along Gower Street, and I saw an old dear friend of mine. He didn't see me, so I called out to him. He stopped, looked at me, and then was killed instantly by a bag of frozen soup. I rushed to his side,
course, I was too late. I looked up to see where the bag had come from. I saw an open window and I heard the shouts of a couple engaged in a domestic squabble. And then I looked further up. And then I saw it. Stretching from horizon to horizon. Millions of crisscrossed lines forming squares in the sky. The grid. I saw the grid. The grid had cast a perfect shadow of itself on the ground, like a giant piece of graph paper. And my friend and the bag of frozen chicken soup were framed perfectly by grid square number 437602. And then I looked back up to the sky, but the grid had disappeared.
All right, I'm back. Sorry if anybody had no idea what they were watching just then. It was a movie called The Adventure of Faustus Bidgood, and it's a Canadian film from 1986. It took 10 years to make, totally independent, and it's a weird mishmash of I don't know what. It's just a really, really strange film that it's really hard to understand. It features actors like Brian Downey, who starred in a Canadian sci-fi series called Lex. That was the guy you just saw there. The weird guy with the slicked back hair. Yeah, strange movie. We'll just play the clip, so waiting for Starfleet Boy to get back. But next, we're going to watch Battle of the Binary Stars. We just watched The Vulcan Hello, which was the pilot episode of Star Trek Discovery. And, yeah. We had fun. Let's take a look at the comments here. Son of a Red Shirt is here. Blue Spark. Starfleet Boy's back. Thanks for being here, guys, and watching the episodes with us. Really appreciate it.
I'm going to tweet it out real quick. Hang on. Tweet it again. Okay.
Now, the next episode, the very first line is, like the way it starts on mine is, Saru says, "This is mutiny," and Burnham says, "Move," and it's kind of like a couple of seconds from the last episode. It's funny how there's no recaps in Season 1 on the Crave app. Or at least not the first two episodes. It just starts, it literally starts from like the first line that somebody says. It's like the beginning of it. So queued up to right where Saru and Burnham are talking, and Saru says, "This is mutiny," and she says, "Move."
Oh, we're skipping the recap?
There is no recap on my end, so I can't watch the recap with you. So you'd have to queue it up right at the, because it's a weird recap because it bleeds into the beginning of the episode so seamlessly. The actual episode has a couple of lines from the last episode in it. So like the very first line of episode 2 on the Crave app is Saru saying, "This is mutiny, move, Saru, we're locked on." And Burnham says, "Fire," and Georgia says, "Belay that order." And she comes in, and then there's the flashback of her 7 years earlier or something like that, remember?
I guess we'll give the audience who's on CBS All Access like what that timestamp is before we start, right?
Yeah,
so I'll just tell everyone. Okay, cool. Hold on, let me finish this tweet. The tweet. Okay, sorry, audience, I'm making you guys wait. Thank you, Son of a Red Shirt, and Blue Spark for waiting. It's awesome that we have audience. All right, let's see. We're about to start Battle of the Binary Stars. Here we go. Okay, Season 1, Episode 2. All right.
The guy who made that movie was Andy Jones. He stars in the movie as well. Him and his brother made it. His brother died. Mike.
Looked like really good. Looked like really good avant-garde cinema there. I was enjoying what I was able to hear.
I've
and
met
see.
most of the people in that movie, like, but they're all really old now. Like Brian Downey, I never met him, but I met everybody else.
All right, I just did the tweet for the just in case anyone else wants to come and watch along. I did a tweet. All right, I'm ready, PJ. And
All right.
audience, are you?
Now,
Oh wait, no,
you
I'm not
going
ready.
to-
I haven't created up. That's right.
Actually, you can
All right.
play the recap and then cue me up as soon as Saru says, "This is mutiny," and she says, "Move, tell me," and I'll unpause it.
Okay.
So I'm synced up with you exactly then, or at least as close as we can get.
All right.
So you do the
Delay that
now.
order. They're actually like showing the whole scene, I guess, like from before. I see. What does Saru have to say again?
This is mutiny, and she says, "Move."
This is me. Move. Okay. Pause on move.
No, this is mutiny. Just tell me when he says it, and I'll unpause it.
Okay.
I'm like right in the middle of that sentence on him, and then on him saying, it.
I got a transporter. Like a transport when she transports in.
"That's where you are."
Yeah, like hold on. Yeah, like yeah, she just materialized on the transporter. I missed
We're in
it.
the
I missed
flashback
it.
already.
Yeah, we're already in the flashback.
Fuck CBS All Access and they're stupid having no recaps on the Crave app, and then the the episode just starts right in the middle of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'll just go ahead. I'll just skip ahead.
All right. So the timestamp that I have, and you know what's also asinine is that they don't tell you the timestamp on the. Hold on, let me
Tell
see
me,
if I can get
just say the lines out loud. What they're saying right now.
it. All right, you ready, guys? I'm gonna read the timestamp as well. So 43 seconds, 44 seconds, 45 seconds, 6. All right, the pleasure
As
is ours.
discussed, this is my ward. Hello, Michael Burnham.
Yeah, you're good.
Exactly. We're in sync.
Wow. All right, so for audience, we're at 55 seconds in, 56, 7, 8, 9, 1 minute in, 1 minute 1, 1 minute 2, 1 minute 3.
What are they
Anyways.
exactly saying now, Starfleet Boy?
First contact then. Oh, the only human. I can't repeat lines as they're being said.
Oh, okay. I always have the subtitles on when I'm watching it like this.
I'm like trying so hard. But anyways,
Sarek is saying, "Live long and prosper, behave." Now he's
yes.
going up to transport out, energizing.
It's so nice to be able to watch it on the actual screen now. And I forgot to mute my video.
I like how like formal Burnham is. She's almost kind of like, has that Vulcan snobbiness, I could say. Is that a good word to use? Vulcan
Yeah, I think
snobbiness.
so. Arrogance is what I think they would say. What
Yeah.
Kirk would call it.
Like Archie would be
Perhaps.
like, "You arrogant son of a bitch."
Or actually, McCoy would probably call it arrogance. Yeah.
Anybody on
Blue, do you
Vulcan
need us
mind?
to read more? Blue, do you need me to read the timestamp more so that you can catch up? Hold on, PJ. I have to adjust the volume on mine. It's too loud. There we go. Now I can hear you.
Burnham is
Ready to
walking
steer
onto
you
the
home.
Shenzhou Bridge for the first time.
That
Captain
lens
on the
flare is
bridge,
awful. The one that was just there, like
saying that. What? Say again?
the lens flare when they entered the bridge was really awful.
No. Well, yeah, because
It
they're
looked
they're
digitally
pointed
and-
directly at the sun behind the planet, peeking out.
I love this version of Michael Burnham, and I wish we would get more short treks of her, like in this time period of her life.
That'd be
Look at her,
interesting.
she's like-
Actually, that
She's
wouldn't be
so
bad.
Vulcan. Like she even has her hair cut to make it look like her ears are pointy.
You know what's sad? Before they destroyed the Shenzhou set and like repurposed it and whatnot, they didn't exactly have the short treks in mind at that time, I don't think. But if they did and they had the foresight, they could have filmed some things on there with that cast.
100%. Oh my gosh. They could still do it. With the what was the AR wall called? The volume. Now that they have the volume technology, they can actually just build the consoles
Yeah.
and most of the background can just be digital. You could totally pull it off.
That kills Giorgio to put her in the brig like that. Like, all this is like
Mm-hmm.
is so devastating for her. 'Cause she's
Hey,
like,
Geek and
my
Review.
most trusted ally has betrayed me.
Geek and Review, if you want to sync up with us,
Where-
and also audience at home, we're on the opening credits right now, and I'll read you the timestamp. It's 4 minutes 13, 14,
Mary
15,
Wiseman,
17, 18. How come it
Jason
skips?
Isaacs.
Is that just because I've been drinking? Yeah, and BJ's gonna read you
Special
what's on
guest
the
star
credits.
Michelle Yeoh.
Michelle Yeoh. We should actually
Cast-
do this for all of
I can't
them.
read all these names so quick. It's not gonna
Costume
happen.
designer Gersha Phillips,
But
Jason Zimmerman, visual
there's like
effects,
18
Eddie By
producers,
Scott
dude.
Gamson, production designer. I missed it. Director, these credits are too fast. Slow them down. Producer, Aaron Byers, Thomas J. Patek, Nicholas Mayer, consulting. Aha. That's right. So that makes more sense. Like, if Nicholas Mayer was consulting, I bet he had something to do with the plausibility of the looks.
He had a hand in the earlier episodes. I think it was just I think it was maybe just these first two. I don't know if you see his name.
It's amazing that Discovery went
future
through what it
episodes.
did behind the scenes and came together as fluidly as it did for season 1. I think that, on the whole, everyone who was trying to be kind to the show was like, yeah, well, this show kind of had a rough start. Like, it lost its it lost Brian Fuller as the showrunner, and there were all kinds of other controversies where people got fired and stuff like that.
And look at what they came up with.
It's actually, again, if you ignore like the theory I gave you earlier,
These
like,
these
you're trying to
these
reconcile
guys
it.
these guys could have worked as either an offshoot of Klingons that were totally, it was explicitly stated, these are not your regular Klingons. These are a special ancient group. Because remember when the photo was leaked, and like fans like us were trying to say, well, it could be that they're just proto Klingons or something. There's some kind of weird, or maybe they're not really Klingons. Maybe they're a whole species altogether. It's like, no, these leaked images are of the Klingons, and this is the way they looked. And they rebooted the whole thing, and they made them all so that none of them had hair, which they retroactively in season 2 said that's because. But look in this flashback as Takuvim as a kid. Was he fighting a war as a kid? Were all those other kids fighting a war at that time? Why do they have their heads shaved? You know what I mean?
I feel really strongly
that doesn't add up.
Yeah, I feel really strongly that probably even in season 4 of Star Trek Discovery, maybe in Star Trek Picard, that they're going to solve the problem just by showing a variety. I hope they bring in the TOS Klingon style Klingon and the TNG style film era style Klingon, and then I actually hope they also bring in the Kelvinish kind, because I think that Kelvin Klingon is the closest to these guys, so he's like the missing link that explains like why Klingons look so extreme in one direction and so extreme in the other, like from human looking Klingons all the way.
You should
things.
see some of Neville Page's designs for the Kelvin Klingons that didn't make it into those films. They were fucking fantastic. They were
Cool.
They were a real update
Maybe
in
you
the
could
sense
pull them
that
up
they made.
It's a bonus for the audience that's live in the chat.
Yeah, they made those Klingons. They were an updated version of them. They made them look a little bit more hardcore. But what they eventually went with Into Darkness was a toned down version of that. So I mean, I don't think you should make all Klingons like have, piercings in their forehead and have everyone has to wear contact lenses, but having a variety and seeing the odd Klingon that doesn't look like the traditional dude, but you can still tell he is that species. That's what the Into Darkness ones did. That's what and they didn't even use the best designs. You look at some of the concept designs for Klingons back in the Kelvin universe, they were really inspired, and I think they were trying to do something like that here, but a much more extreme version of that, which I, again, object to the fact that they went too far with the overall design. But I mean, it's here. It's what we have to deal with it. I mean, it is the way it is. And you notice in season 2 they did soften the features in a lot of the Klingons. L'Orel especially. L'Orel looks absolutely grotesque in this season. She doesn't look like there's no femininity, for lack of a better word, in her
I have to
character.
object. I have to object to that one.
Oh no!
Never
Look at her. You look at her in season 2.
never
Her
thought-
features are softer. Even the
I never-
scar on her face is softened.
No, I'm just gonna say that I never thought that Klingon females, except for Kaylair, ever showed femininity in Star Trek. Kaylair's the only
Actually,
one that I can think of. That no, the Dura sisters were not.
I don't know.
They were
They're our sisters. They had.
No, you cannot say they don't look feminine at all. They like the boobs don't make them feminine. I'm sorry, like that's not gonna. That doesn't. That's what they tried to do. The next closest feminine Klingon.
But it's
was the
Klingon.
one
It's
from Star
Klingon
Trek V.
femininity in the sense that.
No, I would say L'Orel was right on par with what we had seen from Klingon females up until that. Because even the TOS Klingon females, they make them like they kind of make them like exaggeratedly masculine. If I recall correctly, I haven't gotten back to those episodes yet.
And that's
but-
because Klingon men often appreciate strong women, and their intimate
Well, plus they're
practices
aliens, they don't have to
involve
look-
strength and violence and
Right.
stuff, and probably flicking each other around and whatnot.
They don't have to look feminine per se, but I get what you're saying. Like Kaylair definitely looked feminine to me.
No,
like,
but
'cause
you
she
have
was,
to
like,
agree.
you know,
Look at
like-
L'Orel in this season. She looks much more beastly.
I will say that like yeah, when you really see like when I saw Mary Chieffo for the first time, I was like really alarmed because I was like, oh wow, like she's a gorgeous woman. And I'm sorry for objectifying you a little bit there, Miss Chieffo, if you're listening to this, but
you can't say people are attractive. It's bad.
you're not allowed to. You'll get canceled. But anyway, she is. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. But she's really beautiful. She's like a stunning, like model type. She's very tall, yes, but she's like, very, very beautiful.
There was a
and
Twitter
feminine,
video,
if you will. And
there was
so I was surprised that that's who was behind the mask of L'Orel. But
Yeah.
I do agree with you that L'Orel is more attractive, is what I'll say, instead of feminine.
They make a conscious effort to beautify her more in season 2 than they did in season 1.
Right, I will agree with that. Yeah.
But
This is a good battle.
There's a
actually.
good battle. One more thing I wanted to point out about Mary Chieffo. There was a Twitter video she put out like a couple of years ago on the second season of Discovery where she had the makeup on, like her revised season 2 makeup, but she didn't have the contacts, and I don't think she had the teeth in. And she looked a little bit more like a traditional Klingon. Not a lot, but a little bit more. And it's like, if we saw more of Mary Chieffo's features and they made the makeup more subtle, like, and I'm not talking about now, I mean, just from the beginning, like make them more traditional looking and whatnot, her facial structure and her unique look could have really lent itself to a female Klingon. Like, in the first season, they put so much on her, you can't really see Mary Chieffo so much, but you do see more of her face in season 2. I find it's the makeup's better suited to her.
It's more articulate is definitely what we'll probably find if we continue doing these regular. I'm trying to do these regular.
I think it's less articulate. In terms of detail, they soften things on her. Like her neck still looks like
for sure.
Klingon neck.
And the hair
makes
the hair makes a huge difference. But why would you hate it if you kind of have to, like, at some point, I guarantee you're going to get...
It's overkill. It's overkill.
That's funny. I feel so sad for this character. I really liked him. And then boom. Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye. What was his name? Connors? Yep. Lieutenant Connors.
I always forget his name when I rewatch. I'm like, oh yeah, they say his name and I keep forgetting it because he's just a nobody. Like, you forget him right away. He shows up in a later episode, but yeah.
Let's see here in the comments. When they softened her look, it was a lot more flattering. Yeah. We are obsessed with the Klingons. I'm sorry, Blue. We should talk. PJ, we're being told we're talking about the Klingons too much. Let's talk about the Vulcans.
Now, what do you think of this whole thing where he puts his, like, part of his katra into her, like to give her like some kind of life force, and that creates this super duper long distance Wi-Fi connection between them, the two, when she desperately needs help.
I had no
I
problem with the Katra stuff because Vulcans do crazy weird things, and like so I accepted this and I felt like it was like spot on. I liked
Yeah,
it.
to me, I
I
don't
probably
love
thought it
it.
was exaggerated, but yeah,
Yeah,
it makes
it is
sense.
exaggerated. I don't love it, but you can argue that there is an element of Vulcan mysticism that is quite unexplainable, and this could be one of those instances that we've never really heard about before. I guess maybe.
Yeah. Star Trek's not shy to explore the science of like the mind, like telekinesis. Like those things could there could be potentially uh, innate ways to manipulate matter and things like that, and do things like
Uh,
that. They're
this is a
just not
good look.
measurable yet by the tools we have.
That's a good look that Michelle Yeoh gives when she thinks that Burnham might be dead. She's
Yeah,
like, "Oh, the brig." But this is an
this
interesting
whole
thing where
story is so
everything's
tragic.
destroyed around her, but that thing is still intact. And one of the things I like about this episode a lot is coming up where she has to double talk the computer into doing exactly what she wants, and it works. Like if you really think about how she manipulates the computer into like do
Yeah,
exactly what I want, blow me through the hole, even though it's something that the computer would think, no, this is dangerous, don't do it. She she reasons with it to a point where the computer's like, okay,
she Captain Kirked it,
yeah,
which is great.
welcome to the Upside Down, Burnham.
We
Here
have
you will
another
meet some
comment.
kooky kids from the 80s and their Gormagander.
When they saw, here we go. I forget her name, but the chick that played Kang's wife in TOS, while aggressive, she was still feminine. I haven't gotten back to that episode, so when I watch it, I'll pay attention and give you my answer then. But I don't remember her being feminine. Do you know who Mary Chifo's mom is? She's been in loads of films: Donnie Darko, No Country for Old Men, etc., etc. Who is the actor? What's the actor's name?
I forget her name, but she was the school teacher in Child's Play too. She plays a lot of Southern roles.
Oh, I'll have to check her out. That's awesome.
I'm gonna look her up now.
I think you're being awfully forgiving, and I swear I'm not trying to be a hater, but that pan-galactic long-distance
Beth
mental
Grant.
telephone call, which is the scene we're on right now. Beth Grant will look her. I don't know what she looks like.
And
in my head.
her father is also an actor you will recognize called named Michael Chifo, but he's been in like random movies. But Beth Grant, her Mary Chifo's mother, has been in Donnie Darko, No Country for Old Men, Rain Man, Little Miss Sunshine. Jesus, a lot of movies. Child's Play 2, Tu Wong Fu, Speed,
That's cool. Mary Chieffo
The
is
Artist, Crazy Heart,
part of an acting family. That's neat.
A Time to Kill, Jackie, City Slickers 2,
I love the way this
The Rookie,
mental space was filmed.
Flatliners,
By the way, when we get
Dance
back
with
to-
Me with Jennifer Lopez.
PJ's
That's
only going to talk about the Klingons tonight. That's it. This whole second episode.
no, this
is-
whole thing is going to be about Beth Grant and all the movies she's been in. Now.
That's great. This battle is so good. I have to say, this battle is really good. It's very satisfying. This is what made me want to play STO.
You know what I think is a huge cliche in Trek? And now that particular explosion, because it's probably directly in that spot, but you notice like when a ship gets, like, somebody blasts the arse of the ship, like the front of the ship, sparks come out of the fucking consoles. It's like, that's not a safe work environment for anyone. And it's like, how do we show conflict on the bridge and it's smoke and sparks and it's
What's worse?
and blinking lights, which
What's
it
worse
makes
is
sense to a point, but sometimes I think they overdo it.
What's worse? Like, I don't know if they'll ever do this on Star Trek, but programmable matter, there's something that I thought about, which is like someone could like hack the programmable matter and make it all turn into daggers and fly at you.
Yeah, or like make the consoles turn into spikes and like go right through your head.
Right through your hands. Yeah, it could totally happen. So it's like almost worse. Just saying. I hope that firewall is really good in the future. I really have been meaning to get the Eagle Moss model for the Shanzo. I really love her, and I love this scene. I actually it was very tense watching it the first time,
I like how the
and
bridge
then
is
all
on
of a
the
sudden,
bottom because it approaches a design flaw, which is don't put the bridge in an obvious place. Put it some weird spot in the ship, like on the side, left side, deck 10 or something. You know what I mean? Like they've never explored the concept of putting the bridge in like a weird ass spot. It always has to be on the very top. But in this case, putting it on the bottom is also a tactical thing that could work. But still,
yeah.
the whole concept of the
I think
bridges.
I had a theory about the Federation, and in particular Starfleet, because of their friendly, like,
Yeah.
nature, and like the we come in peace nature, and their trust in their defenses, that's why they boldly put, like, it's a sign even to people, like, because but Klingons do it too. I think there's like
But you can
probably
also
like an
argue
art,
that
like a thing.
once your shield, and someone, I forget who made this point, in the Star Trek world, when two ships are in conflict, the shields are all you have, basically. When those fail, you can cut off the neck of the Klingon ship, you can cut off the saucer section of the neck of the Constitution class very easily, like how Khan kind of like scorched the neck in that scene in
Yeah.
Wrath of Khan. But essentially, your battle lasts as long as your shields do, and basically after that you have to get out of dodge or evasive maneuvers, or take a chance and fire at the thing that's firing at you, but you have no shields because a photon torpedo, theoretically, and they don't always address this, how the good guys never really die right away when the shields are down, because all it takes is one photon torpedo when
Yeah.
you're totally invulnerable like that. But
If you notice, like, most like non Starfleet or non-military, let's call it, like non-naval, I think is more accurate. Most of the non-naval ships in Star Trek are actually very sensible looking. I think there's an intentional design to this to be imposing but also impressive. Like when the Enterprise shows up, like, let's just talk about the D for a second. Like when the D shows up at your planet, you kind of are like, wow, like it takes some engineering feat to make your ship look that way, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
like these
But what
people
I'm
have, like,
saying
an
about like
impressive,
these supposed weak spots on the ship, like the long Klingon neck, like which they cut off in this episode per se, like they explode that part. That's only vulnerable when
the shields are down. Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
of course.
when the shields are down, it's almost like the structural design of the ship doesn't make much of a difference. Like yes,
Yeah, it
if you
doesn't
have a
really
ship like
matter.
the Defiant, which is shaped and it's at a particular size that can be particularly maneuverable, but also very like powerful in terms of firepower. That's its own thing. But then you have these huge ships that
Senator
basically
Richard says the bridge of the Defiant is in the middle, but it's in the middle, but isn't it at the top? Like,
top
does it
middle.
pop
Yeah,
out as well? No, right?
yeah.
It's
I don't know.
actually
Maybe
at the heart of the ship. Um, that'd be cool. I think that, like, to me all these ships looked out of place though at the time, except maybe like the Europa. It wasn't until the Enterprise showed up that I saw something familiar. But then again, in TOS, like, pretty much Starfleet only had like one variety of ship. Like, I think you only really see the Constitution class and maybe the Daedalus class, I think, is the only other variant. So it is nice to see all these different styles.
now the timestamp is 22:35, 22:36. Where are you at?
Oh, hold on, I gotta hover. 22, 46, 47, 48.
Exactly.
Did we go out?
exactly.
Oh, we're exactly at the same
Takuma the
time.
Unforgettable.
There's a
Now
lot of
it's-
comments.
This battle kinds of just the battle just ends, really, doesn't it? It just kind of just fizzles out. It's like, yeah, we've done our damage. Let's move on now.
And then they leave. They're like, yeah, we showed them.
We showed those darn Starfleet boys.
So to finish off, Senator Redshirt said, can't help but think if that was double, it would have mentioned it at some. About the Vulcan telephone call. That's right. We were talking about that. You'll recognize both of them when you see them.
Now, is this Takuma speaking English or is it being translated? Because if they wanted to be totally realistic about it, they would have had his mouth move differently from the English words.
Now you're nitpicking.
I tend to believe that in that particular instance, if I was given a choice, like, yes, I think he is speaking English in that one instance, just to show them, like, I can speak your language, mother effers.
I actually think that Takuma would not even deign to speak Galactan, by the way, which is I think what it's called, Galactic. They don't call it English.
Perhaps Klingons are very well versed. Maybe they're very good at learning languages. We don't know.
But they might not like give their enemies they might know the language so they can understand them. Of course, Klingons also at this point
you must know the enemy's language
to
to understand your enemy.
I mean, they all have universal translators now that I think about it, so that doesn't make sense, right?
This is the good scene that I like, where she's reasoning with the computer. The rapid depressurization will shoot me out to the black. Yeah, okay, too fast. Then ethically, you should open the door for me. I like that. Working. The problem I have with the computer voice is that it is already dated. You know what I mean? It sounds like 2016 Siri. It sounds like a retro thing now. Isn't that funny?
Remember
how something that produced in 2017, elements of it, sci-fi, hundreds of years in the future, is like, no, that's already dated.
But what I liked about that choice of how they did it was that it kind of resembled the computer, how it spoke in TOS. It was always kind of a little bit computery. You know what I mean?
But I believe that is one of the few things you can reboot and retroactively take out.
See, like that's the thing though, PJ. What's the line? Where's the line, right? Like I'm drawing the line here. No, I'm just kidding. It's all I
this
think
far and no further, and I will make them pay for what they've done.
Oh my gosh, this live stream was worth it.
You broke your little ships.
You need to have the ship's computer from TOS appear on Starfleet Boy After Dark.
Irrelevant. Does not compute.
Audience character was just born today on this stream, which is pretty awesome. Ron Moore, Son of a Red Shirt says Ron Moore quite famously once said that there was no way they could recreate the power of Star Trek weapons, i.e. ships, phasers, and torpedoes on screen because they were so overpowered.
Yeah, it's tricky business. You know, Ronald D. Moore was recently interviewed, and he was asked, what would you do with a big budget if you were to make a Star Trek movie? He said, I would reboot the whole thing. I would start from scratch and go back to the essential thing of what Star Trek was when it was invented, and yada, yada, yada. But he hasn't seen Picard. He watched the beginning of it, and he hasn't gone back.
Ron Moore did it beautifully for Battlestar Galactica. I 100% trust that if Ron Moore decided to reboot Star Trek, like literally restart Star Trek, that he would pull it off. Like I think that would be a wonderful thing.
I 100% agree.
But it's been done. This is the reboot. Like whether they're saying it or not, like in my mind, it's so different.
Yeah, like
that it's been rebooted. So Ron Moore missed his chance.
I remember when Enterprise shows up. Now, spoilers for... You have to have seen Discovery to be watching this with us, of course. But maybe if you haven't seen the last episode, I shouldn't say. But we all know. You all know at this point. The Enterprise shows up.
Oh, yeah.
And when it did show up, it's like, yeah, but that's not the right one. It looks like the Enterprise, surely enough. But it's not quite like what we saw in the original series. And I don't think that's a design they'll ever go back to. I mean, and I don't think they're concerned with making it look like Jim Kirk's bridge in terms of size and just stark detail. I mean, you could pull it off to a degree. There would still need to be some degree of, like, one of the reasons they make the newer bridge, the newer Enterprise, a bit bigger is for the wider screen. So it fits in that frame much better. That's why
Well,
you
you
have
don't
the
have to
4:3
recreate a
aspect
yeah,
ratio.
but you don't have
Fits
to
much
recreate a
better for
4:3.
TOS.
It doesn't have to be like 1,000% faithful to the TOS bridge, but like
Yeah.
but like yeah, you can make a 16:9 version and it would still look so familiar. It would be virtually undetectable to most people. Most people would be like, oh yeah, this fits or this settles in.
I don't
But
understand
aside
the.
from that, I don't think again, Ron Moore would have rebooted the series. And the difference is that, like, just like with Battlestar Galactica, like the whole time in all the marketing and all the advertising and all the press talks, everyone talked about how this is not this is a reimagined series. Like, you can't like think anything's going to line up with what you've seen before. Like, you're on
Yeah.
a new timeline, a new whatever, you know what I mean? Like, and that's all you really have to say. And again, I don't need it to be said. I'm happy with just the way, like, to me it's I can reconcile my differences with Star Trek now, especially since Discovery season 3 has really got me hooked. I'm not going to let the show go. I'm satisfied with it. But at this time, when I was first originally watching it, I remember being like really perturbed by by the idea that this was going to line up with TOS at first. My reaction to it was very visceral.
Now, Giorgio's gonna plant a bomb on a dead body, and it's gonna blow up the thing. They're gonna go over and try to get to Kuvma now.
That music was great in that scene that just passed with like Giorgio giving that command, by the way. Oh, by the way, Son of a Red Shirt and Geek and Review, who are in the audience, I think, if I'm not mistaken, in TOS, it's established that they're able to like even stun. They're able to like really fine tune the sensitivity of their or the power output of their weapons. Like, they are mega powerful at full power, but like you could do a fine tune, like target a house, for example, with a photon torpedo and set the yield to like be a very like
Nope.
small explosion.
What do you think of Discovery in these two episodes? They establish a different way of interpreting the shields on a ship, and now they're skin tight, and they're not like the bubble effect anymore.
I don't care about those things.
I
That's
like
like where my line doesn't even like worry.
I like the bubble effect because I think the whole like skin tight shield thing. I think I like the bubble because it keeps the energy like away, and a bubble can absorb a certain way that like a form fitting thing wouldn't exactly. Just in my imagination, it's like a nitpick.
Yeah, it is confusing from a visual standpoint because you see all these explosions on top of the shields, which you shouldn't. I don't think you should see on shields that are skin tight, right? Like, you should just see like energy pulses kind of pulsing away. Like, you should see the shields absorbing the energy.
You do
I guess
see
those
an
are
effect. You
photon
do see an
blasts.
effect.
I don't know.
Yeah, you do see the explosion and then the effect in the shield. They get it. They.
Oh, you do see it. Okay.
You got to really
Oh,
look
then
though.
I'm
But
okay
you
with
see
it.
it when the Enterprise is getting like shot at in season 2 and stuff
Is
in the
it?
final battle.
I don't think those things matter. Like, I think that like maybe they do have different modulations of the shields also, and like certain shield modulations like are skin tight and they're more advantageous. So like in a battle, you can get really close to another ship, for example,
Yeah.
and confuse its targeting sensors, right? With like shields that are skin tight. But then like from further away, maybe it's more beneficial to have a bubble configuration on your shields.
This is
Yes. So there's no reason why
this is Burnham
both
fighting
of
with
those
her
can't
future
be
boyfriend.
good.
He's like, why he's trying to crush her skull.
This is crazy that they are about to kill Captain Giorgio. Sorry for those of you watching this for the first time. Why are you watching a commentary and Discovery for the first time?
Yeah, they're nice.
I love Michelle Yeoh's.
Well, what did you poke him in? His head holes?
I think so. Yeah, his ear
Oh, yeah.
things.
Mm.
It is so. That's right. That's right. She like
This is
gouges his eye.
Burnham's second
Oof.
big mistake coming up here now.
So
She made a martyr of him, right?
Yeah, she made
From the
a martyr
Klingon
of him.
point of view, Takuma was killed for his beliefs.
Mhm.
And it fits right into the narrative that he wanted.
He
Probably didn't mean to die, but I mean,
he didn't mean to die, but yeah, it does. It was a no-win scenario, and she chose
And-
the lesser losing.
And aside from Giorgio dying, which is sad too, there's also a little thing with Volk and Takuma at the end where they're talking about that Klingon like chant or something.
Well, it's essentially Takuma's passing on stewardship of the faith to him in that scene, I guess.
Why not? And then the question was, why not send over a team with the captain? Now, don't they have like black badge people on this ship? No, wait, that's Discovery. Never mind. They still got security officers that could have went over and
Yeah,
helped,
it would have been cool actually to see a security detail go over.
and like get wiped out, even like be like totally
Right? Yeah,
taken
no, that
down real
actually
quick.
would've-
You know?
I mean, ultimately, like it didn't. You're right. It doesn't make sense that it was just the two of them, but from like a thematic perspective, though, I guess it still works though because you have the mentor and the mentees, and they're both mourning over their leaders, right? So
Yeah.
just to kind of cut out the noise, and also, uh, I mean, we have to be fair sometimes and
back,
just say
killers.
that like these are the choices you have to make when you're making a TV show because of budget
Yeah.
reasons and time constraints.
Mm. Volk's mascara is running.
It's so gross.
He's a goth Klingon. He's a
Can you
rebel.
tell what color the blood is? It looks like a little bit pink, right? Like Pepto Bismol. I see a little Pepto Bismol going on in there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You see it like there in the middle? It's like, and it's darker pink on the edges where it's drying.
Well, you're at a different spot now than I am.
No, the
To all these
shuttle.
charges, how do you plead? Guilty.
Yeah.
You get to see the faceless tribunal in like a dark room.
Oh,
what is
are you
that?
guys
What is
getting
that
a
for? Is
weird-
that to intimidate the
You have a
people?
weird edit in Canada.
I'm at 35, 37, 38, 39.
Let me see. Hold on. I'll tell you where I'm at. I'm at 38, 24, 25. Oh, no, my bad. That's counting down. I'm at 35, 51, 52,
Yeah, same
53,
here.
54. Oh, okay.
She's saying
Your
I carried
lines,
that.
you have a
I
different cut.
Yeah, that happens sometimes with. That happened with lower decks too, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Interesting to find these things out.
So where are you two now?
An edit.
What happened there?
Here, I'll read the lines. Hold on. The subtitles won't come on. Okay. In your defense before sentence is rendered. Oh no, she's giving a monologue. The subtitles are off on mine.
She says, "My captain."
Before the scene ends, I just want to say how much
My
I
friend.
hated that they were in shadows. Like, I didn't like this choice. It was so bizarre that like I just didn't think of Star Trek as a show.
They also
would
made
have,
it a
like-
point not to show the guys interviewing the Discovery and the Enterprise crew after the events of season 2.
But it was, I guess they kept it that way. But I don't know what the message is. Like, why are
It's like they're just,
like
you can't
I
see
don't get
you
it.
can't see your judges, like they're faceless or something.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I mean,
So-
just
so
to
that
see the
is the
characters,
episode.
like, it is weird.
Yeah.
It felt very Mirror Universe, but I guess that we do end up there. That was fun. We really went on tangents. Audience, what did you think? People who are watching this in the rewatch, throw a comment on this YouTube video and let us know how our commentary went. That was
Yeah, so
fun.
Yeah, it was good times. So we gonna do any more of these or what?
Yeah, I'm down. I'm down to do this season 1.
It's becoming a fad now. People doing watch-alongs. That's a thing.
I'm
that
on
popped
a
up more
Trek
and
Lads
more.
watch along for Star Trek Picard tomorrow. We're doing a Stardust City Rag.
Stardust City Rag. Wow.
Yeah.
Is that the Echep one?
Yes.
One of the worst episodes of Star Trek ever produced, ever conceived of, ever put to film.
I'm not gonna say anything until tomorrow. I'm gonna save all my thoughts for Trek Lad. We're doing our Discovery. We're doing Discovery here. We've done a couple of watch alongs on Starfleet Boy After Dark. Yeah, they're fun. I could see why they're a fad. Who
Yeah.
doesn't want to put a commentary track? Like later on when you're bored, you just pop in, like you've already seen this thing like 50 times, so you want to see what your favorite like YouTuber, creator, or podcaster thinks about a movie
You
or
can
in
go
real
on
time
if you
or
like Kevin
TV
Smith.
series.
If you like Kevin Smith, you can go online and find some of his commentaries. Like, say, I think for some of the Batman movies. But yeah, Batman Returns. I think in the '89 Batman, you can hear his commentary. You can find a good few commentaries on YouTube themselves. Like a lot of people have done them recently. I've noticed. I was like, let's get in on the thing. All right.
Senator Redshirt enjoyed our conversation even without um without watching it in sync. That was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, let us know what you think. It was fun. I'm definitely down to do it again.
Yes, I want to thank
If I
everybody
ever
for being
get
here.
through if I ever get through all of my discussions of Star Trek and complete everything and I'm ever current, then I would love to do this on my own channel. But by then it won't be a fad anymore. But then
Yeah.
it'll be like it'll be gone.
All right. That'll do it for us. Thanks everybody for watching. Until next time, live long and prosper.